Cool. So basically, it's come to my attention that not a lot of people know how to sew. So I'm gonna show y'all. I had a little hat. I don't know if this angle is good. Hopefully. But yeah, it basically came apart at the seams. So I was sewing it up this morning. And I'm gonna continue now. My thread's gotten too short. So we're just gonna kind of do some quick stitching, sewing 101. Gotta have sharp scissors or nail clippers. I've used nail clippers before too. They're nice. We'll just start from the beginning. I already knotted this off so it doesn't come undone. So this is where it gets tricky. And again, this isn't like, I'm sure the seamstresses or whatever you want to call them in the viewers are losing their shit. I like to get a nice long, like 3-foot piece of string, chop it. I also, unless it's something that's outside facing, I like to get different threads so I can see what I'm doing. So to thread the needle, a couple of quick tricks. So cut your string right in the mouth, lick it, get it wet, and then cut it again. Because by wetting it, you're making it easier to form. But then you also get little tassels once you lick it. So you want to cut those tassels because that's what's going to keep hitting your the eye and not letting you in. So now we're just going to attempt it real quick. Come on. I don't know if you could see, but it's in. It's just I got a little fraying that's not letting it go through. And there we go. Stick it somewhere where you won't stab yourself, or let it free hang. Either or, I don't really care. And again, there's different ways of doing this. I personally like the double up. Gives you the best, the most strength, I guess. Because you could just tie a knot on one end of the string and pull it through that way, but there's issues with that. Yeah, certain stitches and shit might be cleaner looking, but right now we're not looking for clean. So I just did a double knot at the end of that to have something to grip once we go through. And yeah, just gonna go through, finish this off real quick. Alright, so I'm gonna overlap where I already was. Let's push through. So on the first one, since this is very loose, I'm going to try to go not tightening it, so it's still loose. I'm going to try to go as close to my hole as I already did. There we go. And then I'm going to pass it through like I'm tying a knot, right? And tighten it down. Yeah, that worked. Cool. And now we're going to continue. And again, it's a hat, so you don't have to get super close. You can get in there and kind of bite down. And I usually pass it through, and then I'll pass it through my thread. Oopsie daisy. We're not going to do that. We're going to try it again. And again, with sewing, like internal stuff and stuff that you don't see, there's no rules. It's like a Bob Ross painting. It's just happy little accidents. That's all. So again, pass it through, and then we're going to pass it through our loop. There you go. And you want to kind of hold shit straight, because if it goes to the side, then it'll grab this and pull it in, and you don't want that. And then you just kind of continue doing that. Go through and pass through. And don't forget the little jerk. I'll show you in a second. Pass through, pass through. And you kind of grab your where you're doing your shit, and a little jerk. And to get this thread, the loose one, out of the way, we're just going to grab it with the needle because there's already a knot at the end of it. I'm going to pull it over to the side a little bit and go over it. Even though, again, there's a knot, but it's not up tight against the stitch, so it could eventually come loose. So nothing wrong with going over your stitches a couple times, like back and forth, just to kind of tighten shit up. And yeah, it's not going to look pretty, but again, it's the inside of a hat, so who gives a shit. Now you continue your little stitch, kind of like what I did here. And you could just go back and forth, but if for some reason one strand were to be cut, your whole shit's gonna undo itself. Now what you could do is if you're sewing something that like really needs to be reliable, and again, I have no professional experience here. This is just what I've been doing my whole life. But if you really want it to hold tight, it's kind of messy sometimes. You pass it through once, and then once nothing's tangled and you're good, kind of like that, you can pass it through again. But like I said, we'll see if it'll happen here. Nope, actually that bit down pretty good. Sometimes you can get some messy stuff like this. See, that one's kind of loose. I'm not worried about it because I already made a knot next to it, but it was a loose stitch and we don't really like loose stitches. But yeah, basically I was going pheasant hunting yesterday, and hunting's interesting depending on the type of hunting you do. If you just kind of sit in a blind or a tree stand, that's one thing because you're just kind of sitting there. But if you do what I like to do, which is push, it gets sweaty. It gets sweaty because you're walking through grass that's 6 foot tall, snow, mud, and you don't really, you're both cold and hot at the same time. Because you gotta stay cool, so you can't overdress, but at the same time you're sweating because you're fucking walking a lot. You're hiking. It's like extreme hiking. And again, this might be loose, but you'll tighten it with the next one, watch. So you grab this one, you go through it, and now that you tighten it, your last one's tight. And you just keep doing that till the end. And then, like I said, again, it's not going to be pretty. We're not going for pretty, because this is the inside of a hat. So we're just going for strength so this thing doesn't tear apart. Anyway, yeah, you get sweaty a lot, and not really much you can do about it, but you can change. So you can change your socks. Like if you do a push, in one area, and then you go to move to a different area, you can change your socks, you can change your hat. So I was looking for another hat, and I found this little Carhartt buried somewhere. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to use that. But it was torn all the way apart at the top, so I'm like, that would explain why it's in a pile. But what I'm doing now is I'm basically just going over the same spot a bunch, just to make sure it doesn't come undone, because this is the critical spot right there, where the hat meets the stitching. That's usually where you're going to see your shit come undone. So pass through once, pass through twice, get that nice and tight, and then we're going to do a knot. And we're actually going to drag our knot, because some people like tie their knot and then it's like, oh, it's up here. Well, if you tie it and then you take one side and you keep pulling it down, you can get it pretty damn close. And so once you're really close, you can just kind of put a little pressure on it with your finger to keep it in place and pull, and then yeah, your knot is right there. So that's not coming undone. But to make sure, we're going to do this again. And like I said, the reason I'm doing this is you get hot and you get sweaty, and you don't really want to be sweaty when you're cold. I'm tying one more knot a little higher up. I'll show you why. So now we got 2 knots at the base and 1 right up top. So now once we cut our thread, sorry, I got shaky hands. You don't have to worry about tying another knot. There's already a knot there. Let's check up on our hat real quick, just to see how we're doing so far. And this is silicone from a job. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. I might pull this in and stitch that up a bit, just kind of looking at the edges. So this, okay, so this is the line I stitched up. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'm just gonna pull the rest of this crap in real quick, which just means making a couple stitches a little deeper down. So just gonna go over our same stitches. And again, we're going to do the same thing because it's a very loose fabric, so our little tiny knot's going to pull right through there. We're going to do a couple and then pass through. Whoop, almost pulled out our knot. There we go. And now, once you tighten down on her, it bites, you know. And we're just going to do that for a little bit here to make sure. Oops. Well, that's okay. Patience. You need patience when you're sewing. If you got something to sew up, do it when you're not busy, because you don't want to rush sewing. Not because it'll look ugly or anything, but you can stab yourself a lot. Another tip my grandpa taught me, since where I'm from, you don't buy new clothes. You just fix the clothes you got for years, and then when they become too small, you take it to grandma. She makes them bigger until it's no longer possible to make them any bigger, and then you can see if you can buy some new clothes. But that was too far of a stitch. We're gonna double back on that. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, a tip my grandpa taught me was when you're stitching, before you start stitching, wash your hands and wash your needle. If you don't have alcohol, just soap and water. You can always take a lighter to your needle. It's thin enough to where it will glow red, which will kill all the bacteria on there. I say that because, again, where I'm from, you may be out in the field, you may be dirty. Let's say you're working with chicken shit or something, or manure or whatever, and then all of a sudden you tear your pants. So now you got to sew them up real quick. Grab your sewing kit from the truck, and what's that? There's poo on your hand, and now you're sewing, and you accidentally stab yourself in the finger. Well, now you got sepsis. Nobody wants sepsis. So this way, even if you do stab yourself, you're pretty safe. Again, we're gonna pull the bottom of the knot, place our finger there, and then pull tightly, and that'll give us a very, very low knot. You can't see it, but it's all the way down here. And then just to make sure that doesn't come undone, we're going to do that one more time. Pulling on one side until it's low, and then placing our finger there, and that's it. And at this point, this thread's, in my opinion, too short to be used. I'm sure the professionals can use it, but to me, this is too short now, so I'm going to remove it. We're going to put our needle down and just check that hat one more time. Okay, that's a little better. It's a little better. But yeah, now the hat is usable again. So we're going to throw that in the washing machine, get it cleaned up. And yeah, now when you're out hunting, hiking, fishing, whatever you want to do out in nature, and you get sweaty, instead of just dealing with it, you can pop your sweaty hat off, stick it in your pocket, pop your clean hat on, or your dry hat on, and if you're out in nature for a long time, you can actually take your hat and put it on your inner layer. So if you have if you have pants, you can put them in your waistband, because down there it's really hot. If you have a jacket, you can put it in your sleeve, and the heat from your body is going to dry it out eventually. Yeah, that's that. I'm going to go move on to my pants now.